This is part 2 of chapter 12. We're reading from The Rape of the Mind by Mind.wmv. The machine has aroused an ever-increasing yearning for speed, for frenzied accomplishments. There exists a psychological relationship between speedomania, frenzied swiftness, and ruthlessness. Behind the wheel in a fast car, a driver becomes drunk with power. Here again we see the denial of the concept of natural steady growth. Ideas and methods need time to mature. The machine forces results prematurely. Evolution is turned into revolution of wheels. The machine is the denial that progress has to grow within us before it can be realized outside ourselves. Mechanization takes away the belief in mental struggle, the belief that problem solving needs time and repeated attempts. Without such beliefs, the platitude will take over, the digest and the hasty memorandum. A mechanized world believes only in condensation of problems and not in a continuous dialectic struggle between man and the questions he construes. One of the fallacies of modern technique is its direction toward greater efficiency. With less energy, more has to be produced. This principle may be right for the machine, but it is not true for human organism. In order to become strong and to remain strong, man has to learn to overcome resistances, to face challenges, and to test himself again and again. Luxury causes mental and physical atrophy. The devaluation of the individual human brain, replacing it by mechanical computers, also suggests the totalitarian system for which its citizens are compelled to become more and more the servile tools. The inhuman system becomes the aim, a system that is the byproduct of technocracy and dehumanization, and which may result in organized brutality and the crushing of any personal morality. In a mechanical society, a set of values are forcibly imprinted on the unconscious mind, the way Pavlov conditioned his dogs. Our brains, then, no longer need to service or to develop the thinking process. Machines will do this for us. In technocracy, emphasis is on behavior, free of emotions and creativity. We speak of electric brains, forgetting that actually creative minds are behind these brains and their frailties. For some engineers, minds have become no more than electric lamps in a totalitarian laboratory. Between man and his fellow man, there has been interposed a tremendous cold paper force, a nameless bureaucracy of rules and tools. Mechanization has brought into being the mysterious pimp in human relations, the man in between, the mechanical bureaucrat, who is powerful but impersonal. He has become a new source of magic fear. In a technocratic world, every moral problem gets repressed and is displaced by a technical or statistical evaluation. The problems of sound and speedy mathematics serve to overthrow ethics. If, for instance, one investigates the inner life of the guards of the concentration camps and their inner troubles and tribulations, one understands why those jailers gave so much thought to the technical problem of how to get the murdered corpses of their victims out of the gas chambers as soon as possible. The words clean and practical and pure acquired for them a different dimension than our usual one. They thought in chemical and statistical terms and stuck to them in order not to be aware of their deeper moral guilt. The mind regarded as a computing machine is the result of compulsive rationalization and generalization of the world. This has been so since the time of early Greek thinkers. This concept implies denial or minimization of emotional life and of the value of marginal experiences. In such a philosophy, spontaneity is never understood, nor creativity and historical coincidence, nor the miracles of human communication as revealed by telepathy. Technology based on this concept is cold and without moral standards of living, without faith and feeling at home in our own world. It continually stimulates new satisfaction in the production of new luxury without ever knowing why. It stimulates greediness and laziness without emphasizing restraint in the art of living. Indeed, technology as a goal instead of a means gives us the fiction of simple equality instead of the continual pursuit of freedom, diversity, and human dignity. Technology disregards the fact that our scientific view of the world is only a gradual correction of our mythical and pre-scientific view. Technology, once a product of courageous fantasy and vision, threatens to kill that same vision, without which no human progress is possible. The idle technology must become a tool again, and not the omnipotent magician per se, who drags us into the abyss. The industrial development in our Western culture created a new problem, that of making man more distant from the rhythm of nature. First, industrial man was tied to factory and engine, and then technological progress increased leisure time, bringing a new question. Leisure for what? The increased growth of time and time-space and of the sizes of towns and the reduction of distances through the increased means of transport affected deeply the roots of our feelings of belonging and security. The family, the atom of society, often became disrupted and sometimes even deteriorated. The raving frenzy of the family car on Sunday replaced the quiet being together of family groups in mutual exchanges of affection and wisdom. Only when man learns to be mentally independent of technology, that means when he learns to do without, will he also learn not to be overwhelmed and swept away by it. People who have to become lonely Robin Crusoes first before they can really use and appreciate the advantages of technology. Our education has to learn to present simple, natural challenges and needs to the child in order to immunize him against the paralyzing and lazy-making tendencies of our technicized epoch. The paradox of technology. Paradoxically enough, technical security may increase cowardice. The technical world we ourselves have created has replaced the very real challenge which nature originally afforded man's imagination, and man is no longer compelled to face the forces of nature outside himself and the forces of an instinct within him. Our luxurious habits and complicated civilization have a tendency to appeal more to our mental passivity than to our spiritual alertness. Mentally passive people without basic morals and philosophy are easily lured into political adventures which are in conflict with the ethics of a free democratic society. The assembly line alienates man from his work, from the product of his own labor. No longer does man produce the things man needs. The machine produces for him. Engineers and scientists tell us that in the near future, automation, running factories without human help, will become a reality, and human labor and the human being himself will become almost completely superfluous. How can man have self-esteem when he becomes the most expendable part of his world? The ethical and moral values which are the foundation of the democratic society are based on the view that human life and human welfare are the earth's greatest good. But in a society in which the machine takes over completely, all our traditional values can be destroyed. In venerating the machine, we denigrate ourselves. We begin to believe that might makes right, that the human being has no intrinsic worth, and that life itself is only a part of a greater technical and chemical thought process. Man's progressive retreat toward a mechanized push-button world is best illustrated by his love for automobiles and other machines. The moment he can retreat into his car seat and direct the world by remote control, he dreams an old, long-forgotten childhood dream of tremendous omnipotence. Man's servility to his automobile and other machines takes something away from his individuality. We are hypnotized by the idea of remote control. The wheels and the push buttons give us false sense of freedom, yet at the same time the creative part of man resists the machine's cold, mechanical intrusion into his inner freedom. As I drive, every time I pass something beautiful along the road, be it an exhilarating view, a museum, a river, a tall tree, at that very moment a kind of tense conflict is aroused in me. Shall I stop the car and drink in the beauty around me, or shall I give in to my machine and keep racing along? For the psychologist and biologist, such behavior raises important questions. How will it end? Will man's tendency to become more and more an immobile technological embryo finally get the better of him and his civilization? I can't see the time here. The Dutch anatomist Volk, one of my teachers, long ago described the regressive retardation and growth characteristic of human beings as compared to the rapid development of the higher primates. As a result of the fetalization and anatomical retardation of man, he acquired his erect posture. The use of his grasping and verifying hands, the possibility of speech, this long youth made it possible for him to learn and to build up his own thought world. Since the Renaissance and the advent of modern science, the scientist himself has been forced to retreat more and more to his technological womb, his laboratory, his study, his armchair. He has done this for the sake of greater intellectual concentration, but as a result, he gradually became more isolated from living people, unobtrusively. Only in the last decades has the scientist begun to come into contact with social problems more and more, partly forced to do so by the growth of social science. And I think I'll stop it right there. There really isn't much left to this chapter. Actually, it will only take a couple of minutes to finish the next chapter, but it won't fit on this video. So I'll see you in the next video. We'll finish up chapter 12.